No, he's cutting out.
I think it's the connection. It was saying the connection was a little weak, like your knees, like your ankles.
Can you guys hear me?
We can, but you keep cutting out. Dang.
Oh, okay. So I was hearing the feed cut out, and I thought that was somebody else's. So it's my Wi-Fi?
Yep.
Yeah, looks like it.
All right, we got you.
I'm pretty close to it. I don't know if there's much I can do about it.
No, it's all good. We'll work through it.
I mean, I hope the people understand. You understand me?
We'll just talk hella fast.
But we connected right now. Last thing I heard you saying was something about during the time I wish my brother George was here.
Yeah, I was just talking about the first time Dell came to Slow, and I didn't know if you rolled with him, but that's okay. That was a long time ago, man.
Yeah, I don't think I did.
So,
but more recently, we were giving you your props on the track you did with John Doe, the track Amoxicillin.
Oh, okay, yeah, I like that song. It was a challenge. There was some real dope rhymers, and they had already had a pattern that I had to fit into. But and so I like the challenge of getting on that song. I can't wait till it come out.
Yeah.
Dope, you and I both. So speaking of projects that are out, this Big Head Science, we copped it, for $100, money well spent. John Doe and I, we used to live together, so we always said if you could put a record on, take a shower, iron up your clothes, get ready to go out, and you don't have to skip through no tracks. That's a solid banger right there.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and I also appreciate the support. You know what I'm saying? I priced the art at that. I got an inspiration from Nipsey. Really inspired to bring something to the people to let them know, even though we're facing a recession or a depression, it's not time to devalue our art. There are more creative things that we can do, and with Big Head Science, it's all about mutual benefit, adding mutual benefit to the sale of your product, and to the upsell of your product too. And so since I wanted to sell it for $100, I offered that anybody who shared the product, if their share leaded to a sale, then they earn $25.
Right.
And so again, there's some mutual benefit in that, because someone didn't even have to buy it in order to do that. They simply had to just share
with their people.
Share the promo. There's all other mutually beneficial things that are aspects to it, but that was just the main one for the upsell of the
you know what I'm saying? It's a new paradigm for marketing and selling your art. And so I think it's impressive, and hopefully it catches on so that people recognize their own value as musicians and say like, hey, if you value me as much as you say you do, then support this. And I think like in this new age, especially this digital age where things are just so direct and the consumer is so quick to grab something and not work with it, then it's exciting. And I heard you're working on a book or just on a paper talking about this.
Yeah, so Big Head Science is actually a thing that will run through hip hop if I purvey the thoughts that are on my mind correctly, if I can get it out. And so instead of having dialogues like these, which I don't think is I love the opportunity to have dialogues like these, but I don't think it's the proper medium in order for ideas of this magnitude. I think some things have to be recorded and documented in my space and time so that they can last longer than, books. When you put something documented in a book, someone might come across the information 50 years from now and find it useful for their music, culture, or whatever's going on. And so, again, Big Head Science, just to break it down, a slang term for the new money that came out that had the big faces on it was big head.
Yep.
And science is simply the art of knowing, or, yes, that's what science breaks down to, is just the methods of knowing. And so, you know what I'm saying? Knowing money is like it's economic. It's not it's a good spin on teaching economics, and specifically cooperative economics, showing people that if we add mutually beneficial aspects to all of our products or what have you, take some of the money that's been tied up by supreme capitalists who've been like milking our industry and this money floating over our head. If we could get some of that money out, we could spread it amongst our supporters and set up new economy, so to speak. Because when we start talking about some of the things that I'm writing in the manual, I've had the experience to be on major labels. I've had the experience at a young age of learning how to get off of a contract by being disobedient and disruptive in some of the things that I had to do to get out of my major label deal. But also some of the knowledge that I learned in dealing with some of those situations gave me the ability now to restructure systems inside of hip hop that will, I consider some of these things to be major as if I was to tell everybody about the internet, if I had thought of the internet, or if built the internet, or if I wrote a book on it. And so right now what's holding me up is like, yo, obviously the most capital or the most benefit is in building it. Or at least some of the things, because I can't tackle them all and not to run on. But I definitely am held up more because now I have to bring some of these things into fruition before I even tell people about them, else I stand to be the person who wrote the book on the internet instead of building the internet. Right. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. So without us getting into your pocket, has it been successful? Has it been what you were hoping for so far?
Definitely so far it's been more than successful. And you know, success is something different for all of us. Like I tell everyone, the main success of the album is me getting this ability to disseminate this information. You know what I'm saying? And so for the first week or so, I didn't even look to see how many I had sold, but I know I was keeping some type of a public ledger because I placed all of the sales receipts on the majority of them. The people who allowed me to, I placed the sales receipts on Instagram,
right,
in order to, you know, inspire momentum and to show people that it's a movement, that you're not the only one supporting if you are wanting to support it. Because, you know, it's hard to get people to break that ice. And once they see they joining in with other people, it makes it a bit easier. So I sold 100 of them before it came out. And so I consider this big head science, and this is only an advantage I could take because I had that following, but there are different advantageous pre-sale mechanisms that benefit the artist better than the pre-sale that we got that only benefit your distributor, period. I don't even know why people pre-sale albums that go through a distributor, because they still ain't giving you your check for 3 months.
Right.
So they ain't got no separate mechanism that say, oh, if you pre-sell it, we're going to cut you a check on the release date and then give you the rest of the money after 2 or 3 months once we do that accounting. So honestly, artists just be following other artists and doing things that ain't wise, and nobody has been sat down and laid out the new template and asked these questions and put the hard questions to people like, why you doing that? You know what I'm saying? And so that's a little bit of what I gauge success in the product. Besides the fact that I sold like 100 of them in 1 week. When we talk about pre-sales, that's raising 10 G's on my product before it dropped. Right. No one has an idea of how any other way you can do that besides giving up some of your equity in the product. I didn't give up no equity. I didn't do a deal that somebody said, oh, I'll give you 10 racks up front to do this. No, I simply contacted my supporters directly, gave them an opportunity to benefit off of them, and told them what it was. Let them know that I have a lot of good things involved in revealing this, and if their support will help me do my thing. Yeah. And so I consider that a success, you know, it's already. You know,
right. And here's the truth, right? Here's the truth. You go buy a CD back when we were buying CDs, you're dropping 18, 19 bucks. You go buy a t-shirt of your favorite artist, you're dropping another 25 bucks. Easy, right? You get a sticker to post or whatever. $100 is really not absurd when you're a fan.
Not for good art, not for someone who you want to support. And think about this. I guarantee you I make classics, and I'm just trying to say that humbly. Like, I do make some, you know, sometimes I'm not in my vibe, but if I'm in my vibe, the music is going to somewhat be timeless. And some people go back and listen to my debut album to this day, and I'm saying it's going to last you longer than a pair of Jordans. We guarantee you that. The quality is made in America. The quality is good. You know what I'm saying? So it's even going to last you better than a unless that date turns into a marriage or what have you. But you know, you go spend a nice meal and you get some wine along with your meal, you're going over $100.
Easy.
And so, and on top of that, let's not say it's thought into this process. It's free.
Right.
Don't forget that. It's
Right.
free for everyone to stream in case you're not in that position to support like that. So that's the ultimate hook to it right there, that my supporters are showing the type of people they are by supporting this project.
Straight up.
Yeah,
Straight up.
and it's a dope project. Like Barcode and When I Ain't Around and High Pressure Content. I mean, there's joints on there.
Yeah.
I just like listening to it, just like, man, every time.
We're going to get into that. I wanted to talk about, that was definitely on my list, but there's a few bangers that kind of stick out to me. The intro alone, On They Head, come on, man. The horns, that dramatic, you know what I'm saying? Like, John Doe, I want to use that shit for the intro to the show. Guess who's back? He said, back on their head like dandruff, don't know who they playing with. My man's put holes in your leather like Stan Smith.
I said, you got stripes, too. See, it needs a little bit more to it. I just said, you got stripes, but my man that poke holes in your leather, Stan Smith. So the stripes is a part of it, too, because it's like double entendre, like stripes in the streets, but also stripes like the Stan Smiths.
Yeah.
So, but we say those lyrics so casually and so easily that they breeze by a lot of people. But people like yourself and other lyric lovers, they double take, like, what did he just say? You know what I'm saying? And that's really why the basis of the art Big Head Science is about pushing for wordplay and lyricism.
Right.
The art, the piece that I drew, is mainly focused on, let me show some new, not necessarily new patterns, but let me show how to exploit some of these patterns that cats ain't getting the best out of, and let me show some new ways to drop metaphors without saying like all the time. So just like the one you cited, I changed the metaphor into a simile because I would have said like Stan Smith, but I said think Stan Smith.
Right.
And that was my poetic license in changing, because people don't offer these things to other artists. Like, how do you change a metaphor to a simile? There are only certain ways to do this with certain key words, and you got to be a wordsmith to know how to do it. But there's one. Any metaphor that you could say like in, any simile that you can going to say like in, you can change it to a metaphor by saying think. Because a simile is a comparison that requires you say like something else. Metaphor is a thought comparison. So if I was to say like Stan Smith's is a simile, but if I say think Stan Smith's, it's a thought comparison. It's a metaphor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So John Doe, you brought up Barcode, another one of my favorites off of that album. But yo, Casual, you mentioned back at that time when Biggie and Diddy were really rocking, that you could have signed. I mean, we need to hear a little bit more of that story, bro.
That's, well, you know, that's something I'm proud to say, that a lot of people told me Biggie was a fan of mine, and it's something I regret that I never got to meet him. You know what I'm saying? But I got told by the person who introduced Biggie to Puffy, Matty C. Matty C came out here in '93 trying to sign me, and just was dealing with me. And Matty will vouch for this. Anybody could tag him in this video or whatever. And he told me that Biggie used to pull up on the corner in Brooklyn and look at everybody out there wilding and be like, what y'all know about this? And would turn up casual. You see what I'm saying?
There you go.
So that felt really good to me. And then to put it down in it, all the way down to my publisher statements, where I see The Wickedest, which is a song on Mr. C's mixtape or whatever, where Biggie Smalls rapped over my I Didn't Mean To song that I produced and did.
God damn.
And so that's an honor of the greatest magnitude, to have a legend like that choose, you know, to spit over whoever chose it, whether Mr. C chose it, but that didn't happen to too many other artists in hip hop who got Biggie freestyling to their beat. Really freestyling to it, that they didn't go mix on Pro Tools. And so that was an honor, but whether I could have signed with them or not, they never made me no offers. That's just me talking my talk, and Puffy gonna chuckle and stuff like that, because he'd be like, he said that because he somehow know.
He'll know. Yeah, so that sort of leads me into a question that I have. So there's certain MCs that are like your favorite rapper's favorite rapper, right? And I feel like you're one of those dudes. Like, people, just this Biggie story is a perfect example of that. It's just like, if you went up to a signed, like, known MC and were like, yo, what do you think of Casual? And they would be like, yo, Smash Rockwell is killing it every time. You know what I mean? So
I appreciate that.
yeah, and I've heard people talk about that. So my question for you is, like, who that you still haven't collaborated with on a sort of like a known level is somebody that you, like, sort of look at in that same light, that you're like, now that's a rapper that I would, like, feel like is a challenge for me. You know what I mean?
A lot of the people I even mentioned are a challenge for me. Like, if I ever, like, I remember Jada Kiss put out that battle thing for 500,000 and I accepted it.
Yeah.
I'm not the type that, like, I wouldn't pick on a chump. Anyone, I wouldn't even want to be mentioned. I want to see if I can be mentioned in a sentence with these great people. So it's not disrespect when someone of my caliber pits itself against you. I'm not gonna look at these little rinky-dink rappers. I would never. I mean, I feel that I lyrically stand heights above the majority. I could do their style so easy, and they can't think like I think and come up with the certain wordplay I think. And so, if I pit myself against some certain person first, that's my ultimate respect, like, and because I think they fucks with it like I fucks with it, excuse my language. But with that being said, there are plenty of, but most of it is in the spirit of competition, but there are plenty of MCs that I love to work with and competitively are not just on some get money just because it's time to do it. And I'm not just like, I don't battle. That's not what it is. I love making just good songs. I love kicking back on tracks. But you know my premise, so you got to indicate what it is to me before we get it in. Cats who just send me a beat and don't tell me nothing, they gonna get it. Because I'm not gonna ambush myself. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna back that fire. But with that being said, I go all different places with it, and I love to work with anyone. I mean, but I'm thinking like some of the bigger artists, like who started from my class of MC and made it to the top, like the Kanyes. You know what I'm saying? I work with him. Like, why wouldn't I? You know,
Yeah,
anybody
right.
of those calibers. You know what I'm saying? Like, he called himself Rap God. I had to respond to that. You know, why couldn't we just play around with it for a minute, for the culture? All of these people, I mean, shoot. So the list will be endless of who I would want to work with. All of the top caliber MCs who offer different, you know, styles and really you could tell they're focused on the lyricism.
Right.
And there's a video, right? There's a video on Barcode.
Yeah, there's a video on Barcode. There is a video, and I just put that out recently. I'm really just pushing line by myself. I released the album on Mystery School Audio. Even though I run Hieroglyphics, I'm trying to establish my own label too. You know what I'm saying? So I might release the vinyl through Hieroglyphics, but I released the album through my own label, Mystery School Audio. You know what I'm saying?
Are you directing that video?
I directed the videos. I direct a lot of my videos too.
Yeah.
And that video is, you know, nowadays, when they require, I ain't gonna say quantity over quality, so to speak, but sometimes people are, a lot of the stuff is disposable in the culture. They watch your video 2 or 3 times, you know what I'm saying? And they ready, it's old to them already. And so in order to keep up with the rapid pace of this new music, I'm also having to cut some corners in order to get something up and do a new one by Friday and do a new one by Friday.
But it's that independent entrepreneurial spirit. We all came and from that same era. We're all kind of cut from that same cloth. Redman is doing all his videos. You know what I mean? He had a video called Slap the Shit Out You, which was fucking hilarious.
Oh, that was so good.
Oh, that shit. My kids. Yeah.
That shit was so good. And M tweeted it out. And they got like hella millions of views.
I would like to just say for the record, I was in Redman's very first directorial debut video on the Dope Man. So go check that shit out. See if you can spot me. I got a couple cameos in that joint. But that's dope. That's fucking dope. I got to ask you about Let's Go Camping.
Wait, stop. Don't do that. Because before I heard the song, I was like, oh, he's actually doing a song about taking his camper out because you always posted shit like you're like posted up fishing and you got your truck
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, that's some real shit. Like, you got to talk about that, bro.
Well, you know what? I didn't directly talk about that in that song, and I got more content coming like that. Like, I'm like, man, I'm going to do a whole outdoorsman album. It's just going to be for the fun of it. Might be a mixtape, but it's going to be songs that people like myself who do all the outside stuff,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying, like to hear. And so if you look at my Instagram profile, it says everything from archer, angler to marksman, and and that stuff is kind of real. I put a lot of time in practicing on these things. So when I made the song Let's Go Camping, really, again, when we talk about big head science, it's about, I told you it's about the wordplay and perusing styles and going through stuff. I had a song called Styles a long time ago where I laid out all the different styles, but I didn't expose the uses of those styles. Well, if you notice, I used one of those styles in the song Let's Go Camping, which is like what I call the same word style. And the same word that I kept saying was out. I know y'all recognize that. Like, get a cooler out.
Right.
Get the Buddha out. You know what I'm saying? I kept saying do some out. Obviously, it's subliminally saying, yo, let's get this outdoor song. It's about being out. But lyrically, I just was showing that for storytelling or for songs that are, you know what I'm saying, supposed to be generally used by not highly specialized people, just by everybody. Sometimes it's cooler to not necessarily dumb it down, but to use certain patterns and styles that are more accessible to the masses. Now, when we start talking about the content of the song, yeah, I went over a little bit of everything that involves camping or having fun, even if you just day camping and not going to put a tent out. Because I noticed that laughter. I said, dang, I didn't even speak on a tent that whole song. And I was like, man, I'm gonna have to. But that's because I've been RV camping and boondocking so much lately that
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what kind of rig are you pushing?
I got a Fleetwood Bounder, 2005 Fleetwood Bounder 38N.
Oh, hell yeah,
turbo diesel. Don't forget the turbo diesel part. Because the diesel pushers, man, when we start playing with the coaches, the diesel pushers is the thing. And the fact that it's a 38N, it ain't that hard to drive.
No,
but it's a mobile house.
No, respect though, respect. I'm very, very well versed in RVs and everything. And I tell people it's like having a boat or a racehorse. It ain't what you bought the RV for. It's that maintenance, it's that upkeep.
Exactly. And I started the page just to teach other people like myself who own my own coach. Because I'm a student of everything, and if I have a problem, if I got time on my hands, I'm not about to pay that, man. So they talking about they be wanting $500 for an oil change.
A grip.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a money pit, and so it's good if you're gonna go that route to learn how to upkeep your own stuff.
So you got to plug that. Where can people go? Is it already set up and ready to go? This RV club that you're talking about?
No, it's not set up, but I did start an Instagram Fleetwood Bounder 2005, but I hadn't been updating it because I'm more focused on my career, and so I've been less. It's like a hobby for me,
right?
And now it's hard to find time for stuff like that. But I will once I drop a few more albums, spend more time doing recreational things like that.
So if you're camping, if you're fishing, I know you got to know your way in the kitchen. You got to have some recipes. You got to have some go-tos.
I got a few go-tos, but I'm kind of like, I take the griddle with me too sometimes, so I might just not even trip too much and just throw a few seasonings on them. But I'm a good cook. My daughters love my food. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Pops get down,
Hell yeah.
I saw you mention that you were going to hit the road and do shows in that thing. Are you planning anything around Big Head Science?
So, I got a lot of ideas in that regard. And I guess some of the ideas that I don't feel like I'm going to execute, I like to plant seeds in other people's heads because I got too many of them, you feel me? And that's one that I was just like, maybe somebody could freak that out. But MC Shan also had, he's a member of what we call the Hip Hop RV Association. And I also got the Instagram and the website for that is HHRVA, but I just ain't got it built out yet. But because as soon as I start developing this association, we got quarantine and everything just started being different in the world. So I'm like, okay, let's see how things come out. But with that being said, he put together a similar type of adventure where he's going to do a game where he picks up people and they get kicked off the RV if they don't know the hip hop question that he asked. So
getting left at a rest stop.
But let me tell you how I'm rocking with it though. Look, I'll be like, I'm gonna do a choose your own adventure type album where I'll be like, okay, today is day one. Have my supporters funded and everything. It'd be like I'm riding to. Here go 4 options of who the artist houses I'm riding to. You know what I'm saying? And be like, this artist wants this much, you want this much, and we fundraising, and I'm sitting right at this location until I can move to the next location. So let's start funding this record. You know, it's like choose your own album. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, good luck emptying out them gray and black tanks though, bro.
I'm a master at that now. I had a little overflow the other day. Right? You don't know nothing about that. When you it ain't fun to talk about, but yeah.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Yo, well, I'm definitely peeping that out. I took my kids a couple of times and we had a blast. There's nothing like it. It takes a lot of work and it, you know what I mean, but it's awesome. Memories.
Yeah, once you get it down packed, I can set up the cut and like I can set up my whole setup with the lights and everything about 30, 45 minutes.
Right.
But if I ain't putting out the lights and everything and I just want to put the slides out and set up, it's like you can set up in 7 to 10 minutes, you know what I'm saying? Hooked up and everything. Boom. If you know what you're doing.
Studio on the road. Next time you roll through San Luis Obispo, hit me up.
I might just come down to do Pismo Beach one time and we
can Pismo, Morro Bay, that whole spot, man. Well, yo, I gotta bring up too, Dance with the Guns featuring Razkaz, produced by Casual. That was another dope concept right there. I like that one.
Yeah, if I ever get the time to edit up a video on that, I'm thinking about putting a lot of military celebrations and ROTC and even have some foreign I don't know what it's called when they actually dance with the gun in that regard. And but you know, I also been in the favelas of Brazil and I've been into parties where everybody had a gun in the air. It kind of looked like a silhouette of what you would imagine like a Warriors cartoon or something. You know what I'm saying? And I've been there and I had to understand what was going on. It was actually a heightened sense of security once I realized what was happening. Like, yo, these all people are friends. This is all one conglomerate, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, no beef here, obviously. It's just no time for that. And so it inspired that song, you know what I'm saying? And not necessarily about taking a strap up into the disco, but you know, we know how real some things get. Where you might be dancing by yourself and they think you're dancing by yourself, but you're dancing with the gun, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that was cool. That was cool. Well, we got about 5 minutes left up on this piece. So, John Doe, is there anything that was on the Dome piece you wanted to get out?
Yeah, just real quick. Still relative to the album, you know, we mentioned that you produced a couple tracks on there, but then there's also, it says produced, the majority of the album was produced by Big Head Science. Yep. So beyond explaining what Big Head Science is as a movement, who is Big Head Science?
And thank you for asking that, because I should have mentioned that a long time ago. The producers who inspired the whole thought and the title and the concept of the album are named Big Head Science. And so they did the tracks like the one you mentioned, On My Head and Tell Me What's Shaking. Actually, they did the majority of the album. And so 2 producers, you know what I'm saying, from Oakland. Their Instagrams is, one of them is Nog _ Champa, like the incense, but it's Nog Champion. And then it's Yashamar Allah. But I can give you that information later, man, if you can post it. But these 2 guys are brothers from Oakland who have been doing a lot of production, you know, around me. And I was hearing, like, man, they got bangers. And I was like, man, I need to just do something with them, start asking for beats. And they kind of inspired, you know, the direction of the album. I had to other stuff on there, not because they didn't have enough beats for me, but it was because of sometimes I round my albums out. Like, I don't like to just have all, I mean, yeah, I want all bars, but I don't want all the same style of bars on my album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want some people to be able to engage in my music who ain't necessarily wanting to hear the barcode, tappity tap, tap, tap on your brain rap. You know what I'm saying? I call it rappity rap rap. And so, I only added that song Barcode to have some more rapidy rap stuff on my album because people do expect that from me coming from Hieroglyphics.
Hell
Right.
yes.
At the same time, I wanted songs like 20 Layer Player, which
My
is
favorite.
casual.
My
I've been doing
favorite.
songs like that since Follow the Funk, you know what I'm saying? Where it's just like some Oakland Player,
Yup.
a fun loving song that any man should be able to see himself as a 20 layer player, you know what I'm saying, hiding the man from the Himalayas, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That line you said about homegirl when you snap back and she won't snap back like a fitted.
Yeah, I mean, so it might sound the language ain't necessarily the language of a conscious album, but that ain't my type. I necessarily want the average person to hear it, but when they hear the concepts, they see the swag and they see the overall things I'm teaching them. Like, yo, it ain't cool if you know, I'm basically speaking about how people been a little bit too aggressive with trying to get with the women, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of that's not player shit. Player don't have no problem in I mean, even in my own necessary experience, I never even wanted to deal with a woman who was inebriated, so to speak, because I'm like, that's messing up my player swag. Because I don't even know if you deciding right, or if you see what I'm saying, or if
Right.
my game working right.
Right.
So I want you to be completely sober when dealing with this. And so a lot of the functions of my songs are subliminal in that regard. I'll say little stuff like, oh, you can't if she ain't with it, you can't hit it. You can't snatch that ball and run away with it. You know what I'm saying? Basically, it's subliminal about like you just can't be no jerk about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's the way I get labeled as a conscious.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Not going to hear cuss words or stuff. I want the people who speak the language I speak to be affected by my benevolence, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Word. All right. So, yo, Big Head Science, go cop it. You can get it on Bandcamp. You need to follow Casual if you're not already at Casual Rap God on IG. Where else do we need to go, Casual? What's coming up? Where do we need to be?
It's Smash Rockwell on Twitter. It's Casual Hyro on Facebook, but really the IG, I've been using it. I'm on YouTube at Smash Rockwell too. So, but I'm most active on IG right now.
Word.
Yeah.
All right.
Bro,
All right.
hey, last question though. Like, Hyro Crew, you guys after all these years still come at each other, like competition wise, or is it like so laid back now that you're just like, all right, I'll fuck with you today or whatever?
Nah, it's definitely an unspoken. It's still always we always sharpen each other. It's definitely not like we competing like we're children. That's kind of juvenile, and it only gets you to certain heights. Once you get past your warrior, like most masters are done with battle, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And most generals who run armies are done with battle too. And so that's kind of like the level we at. Yeah, obviously we still compete just the same way too. Ooh, I like your style. Like your style. but it's definitely not, it's not fisticuffs, and it's not like how when we were young men, you know.
That's dope though.
Man, hey, well, yo, Casual, thank you again. Peace and love, brother. We wish you nothing but success. I'm rocking with this fucking album. I'm loving it.
Yeah. Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
music. For
Thank you.
all the music, and thank you for like this new way of pushing artistry forward. We appreciate
I
Yes.
appreciate that. Anybody want to learn more? It's Big Head Science, the album streaming on all platforms. You can just hit, but you want to learn more, you got to tap into me, like they said at Casual Rap God on Instagram. Love y'all. Thanks for having me.
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
Peace.
Yeah.
Peace.
All right, Casual. Peace, man. Thank you.
Peace.
Yo, we about to